Hello, and welcome back to Smarter You Media, where we guarantee we will make you smarter in 2 minutes. I'm extraordinarily excited today. We have one of my favorite people in the world, one of the most talented musicians I've ever heard or seen or known. In addition to that, he does what we say we ought to do here at Smarter You. He explores the world. So he is a coach of compassionate inquiry. He engages in Jungian psychology. He is an interesting dude. So, Aiden Moore, welcome to Smarter You Media.
Amazing. Thanks for having me, Steve. I got to have you introduce me in all situations. That was great.
That's it. I will follow
That
you
was
around.
great.
I'll be happy to follow you around and just do my best introduction that I possibly can.
No, that was
So,
lovely.
we guarantee our audience straight up top. We're not going to make them wait. We're going to give them the good, exciting stuff right up top. So we guarantee we're going to make them smarter in 2 minutes. Are you ready to face the chicken timer?
I'm ready. As ready as I'll ever be.
All right. I'm going to add 2 minutes. That's one. That's two. And now, whenever you are ready, I'm going to say, give me something. Make me smarter. We got 2 minutes. Go ahead.
Let's do it. Yeah. And I'll say this was a bit last minute wonderfully, as Steve and I's conversations often are. But I did prepare a little bit, and what I wanted to share with you all today is the value of the distinction between our reaction to the events in our lives and our observations of the events in our lives, right? So our
Mm.
reactions versus our observations. And my position is that we will become smarter by having a distinction between the ways that we react to the events in our lives and being able to observe what is actually happening from a mindful, objective position as much as that's possible. And a lot of people talk about this. I found an Epictetus quote, which I know you'll appreciate, Steve, with your
My favorite, absolute
yeah,
favorite,
yeah,
Epictetus, the Stoic. Yes.
yeah, exactly. So, and he said that people are disturbed not by things, but by the view they take of them. And this is very in alignment with like cognitive behavioral therapy, many other people's perspectives. But there's this distinction in this quote of the things and the view, right?
You hear the
And
dogs? The dogs love that point.
I love that.
That
Yeah, it's
the
even dogs
dog
can benefit from this.
that. Oh my God, she made the dogs excited in 2 minutes. You know, it works. That's fantastic.
There's also a Aristotle quote I wanted to share that anybody can become angry. That is easy, but to be angry with the right person and to the right degree and at the right time and for the right purpose and in the right way, that is not within everybody's power and is not easy. So I think this distinction of what we experience and what we perceive is will make us smarter. There's a lot more to say about that, but that's an introduction.
I love it. And you know what? I feel smarter already. 2 minutes in, and we never try to keep anybody beyond where they want to stay. So if you came for the 2 minutes and you need to go, go. Live your life. May it be full and make it be beautiful and wonderful. Aiden and I are going to sit around and keep talking because that's one of the great joys in life with people like you, Aiden. I get a chance to explore life, the universe, everything without qualification. We do that all the time. And the distinction, I love the distinction that you make. Let's get a true, tangible life example.
Yeah.
Take a time that if you want to make it personal, if you want to do something that you can remember where this impacted you, and that distinction made an awful lot more sense once you understood with clarity what it was.
Yeah, I'm going to use more of a teaching example than a personal one.
Okay.
Uh, but you could use the example of being in a meeting, let's say, with coworkers, and your boss disrespects you in front of your coworkers, right? So,
Sure.
would you in that context, if my experience is, uh-oh, I said something and my boss just disrespected me in front of my coworkers, would you classify that as an observation or a reaction?
I think it's a reaction.
Right. I think so too, right?
I mean, that's what it sounds like, but I see why it's a good question because that's it sort of at the margins. Because yeah.
Right. And it's possible that what he said could be viewed as disrespectful, but or what he or she said, your boss said, could be, cataloged as disrespectful. But if this is your knee-jerk reaction of that's the go-to interpretation, and it's very likely if it is your knee-jerk reaction, then it's a pattern, right? A pattern of being disrespected. So that's a reactive position, right? And so the question is, can you form a little bit of space between the reaction and the event and take some curiosity, bring some curiosity to both your reaction and what just happened to be able to say, uh, from a more observational perspective, like what actually happened. Like disrespect is not really a verb in a way, right? Like what does that mean to be disrespected? Got like Marshall Rosenberg has this the originator of the field of nonviolent communication. He makes the distinction between these interpretations or evaluations and observations, and has a whole bunch of words that are so great as things that are not observations, like being disrespected. Um, uh, well, he has a whole list, but it's very valuable to say, um, if a camera was there watching the scenario that you were just in, what actually happened, right? That's the
Yeah, I mean,
observation.
we talk about Rashomon, the old Asian film that five witnesses to an actual event take place, and the whole movie is just going through each one of what they thought they observed, what their story was of what they saw. And then the sixth version is simply what really happened, which wasn't what any of them observed.
Yeah, yeah, it's a great
So
example. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So give me a true sort of uh, test of the taking a moment. How much is a moment? What does that mean? How do I partake in that process?
Well, the challenge in taking the moment is if the reaction and the interpretation are fused, right? If they're blended. If my knee jerk reaction is the lens through which I am interpreting the world, now I'm stuck. I'm just stuck. Like I'm just gonna feel disrespected. I'm gonna feel unimportant. I'm gonna feel alone, right? This is where we get into
Sure.
like a lot of negative self beliefs that are
Yeah,
maybe
yeah.
a sidebar conversation. But the space is just noticing, oh, probably you're having a somatic experience, right? If your boss says something and your belief is, oh, I've just been disrespected, you're going to feel that, right? And there's going to be an emotion, maybe anger, maybe hurt, maybe embarrassment, maybe shame. And there's going to be a somatic response, right? It's going to maybe your
All
heart.
right, you got to help us. You're going to make us smarter once again. What's a somatic response?
Right. So like your sympathetic nervous system might really go online. So you'll feel your heart beat faster. You'll probably feel your heartbeat. It might be faster. You'll feel the blood rush to your face, right? And you might feel some tingling, like in your fingers, maybe your feet. It's this sort of fight or flight system that comes online when we have these really negative visceral experiences. And so you're going to feel that in your body. You're going to feel that emotionally, and you're going to have a narrative attached to that. Oh, this guy's disrespected me in front of all these people, right? So that's all happening at once. And the space is just being able to observe that that's happening and not fuse with all of it, not identify with all of it, right? Not identify with the narrative, not identify with the anger. It's really interesting with emotions. This is another sidebar point, but like in English, we talk about I am angry, I am hurt, like we are the thing. And I remember in Irish Gaelic, I became aware not all languages take this position, right? In Irish Gaelic, when you have an emotional experience, it would be translated as anger has come upon me. You're being visited by an emotional experience, right?
Interesting.
Different
Yeah,
position.
totally.
So if you can take that position, anger is visiting me, right? Oh, my sympathetic nervous system is being activated. Oh, I'm telling a story about what's happening, right? Brene Brown has this great example of when she would get in arguments with her husband, making an exercise out of saying, the story I'm telling myself is blank, which is in and of itself a little bit of space, right? You're not saying, you just disrespected me in front of all these people, you're an asshole, right? And you're treating me like I don't matter. That's fusing with the experience and the reaction and the narrative versus even just saying the story I'm telling myself is creates a little space. So observing what's happening in your body with curiosity, observing what's happening emotionally with curiosity, and observing your narrative with curiosity allows you to kind of catalog that. Okay, something just happened. This is the story I'm telling myself. This is the emotion that's visiting me. This is what's happening in my body. Cool, right? I have a sense of my vantage point. Now I'm going to get curious. What actually just happened? Because
Right.
there's all kinds of possibilities of other interpretations, other intentions, other perspectives, right?
And it feels like when you take that perspective, and I love the example of just saying the story I am telling myself. Is that what it was? The
Yeah,
story I am telling myself already takes you, it just makes it less emotionally charged. It seems you're already in a curiosity position, which you and I have talked a lot about. I mean, just being able to find yourself curious more is one of the great gifts you can give yourself each and every day.
100%. Yeah,
So that is a great, continuation of the original thought that you brought. And, we could talk forever. So I'm not going to keep us here forever. But I will say that one of the things we try to do at Smarter You Media is not just give someone something that they can listen to, but give them resources. Because one of the great challenges, and you and I talk about this, one of the great hard things to do today is to curate information. How do you find good information and how do you distinguish it from other information? And the one example I know and always sort of reach out to is the Mayo Clinic and the Cleveland Clinic. If I want information about health, I know if I go there, I'm getting a good product. What they put out as far as information is really good. And it is in a place where they really care about giving you good information. And you look at all the other health information out there, that's hard to find. So before we exit and run off, give me an example or two or something that you have that would really help me find some kind of information better.
yeah. I love that example of Cleveland Clinic, the Mayo Clinic. Um, in my languaging, I think of it's who we delegate authority to, right? So who do we delegate authority to? Because that's going to be the information that we identify with. Um, and in my case, I'll admit there's some subjectivity because these are things that I care about that I've learned a lot from. But the two fields that come to mind that are resources that I would curate in this context are primarily Gabor Mate and his field of compassionate inquiry. He is, you mentioned compassionate inquiry earlier. I do that work with clients, and he's a thought leader on both trauma, present living thought leader on trauma and psychotherapeutic work. And he just has not just information, but a lot of great resources online that are experiential, right? So you can go check out Compassionate Inquiry. There's all kinds of immersive experiences that you can have there, trainings, and he also has books that I recommend.
All right. So give me spell the name Gabor Mate, and is there an actual a website that is the place that I would go to get that information that you know of?
Yeah, so Gabor Mate, it's Gabormate,
Okay.
um, and the website is compassionateinquiry.com, I'm pretty sure. Um, but if you Google search compassionate inquiry, it'll come up as well. That's his psychotherapeutic modality. There's a self-study version. There's a group experiential version called Circles. Um, there is a year-long training. There's all kinds of events that you can be a part of, and it's very experiential. So it's not just information. It opens a door to participating and experience something. And similarly, but to a lesser degree, the second resource I would recommend is Marshall Rosenberg and the field he originated of nonviolent communication, which you and I also talk about. And he's got a great book that's just called Nonviolent Communication. That's a great place to start. And there are also he has passed on, unfortunately, but there are people who are continuing his field, his legacy. And so if you search, nonviolent communication or the Nonviolent Communication Academy, you'll find opportunities to take courses online. There are trainings, there are events you can be a part of, there are groups you can be a part of. Um, but I would say start with Nonviolent Communication, the book. And why I would say to a lesser degree on this one is that Gabor Mate is like alive. The community is really, active and present, and you'll find, you know, that experience a little closer to the present, whereas the nonviolent communication is a little bit, I don't want to say dated, but it's
Dated.
yeah, it's an
I don't want
older
to say
tradition.
dated. I don't want to say dated, but it's
Yeah,
dated. You know.
in a way, it's still it's perennial in a way, but it's dated. Yeah.
No, that's awesome. Well, thank you for sharing a little time with us at Smarter You Media. Aiden is soon going to be back on the road with the Hamilton touring show. So wish you tons of well on that. And I'm sure we will come and find you while you're on the road and get a chance to do this again. But truly, thank you for sharing some of you with us.
Yeah, thanks, Stephen. Thanks for having me.